Welcome to the Doc G Show, a radio show cluster. Without further ado, critics have said he has the face for radio and a voice for silent films. Your host, Ben Doc G Gordon.
And we are on the air. Welcome to the Doc G Show. I'm your host, Doc G. With me, as always, the one, the only, Mikey Maximus, the Furnicus. Say what? Charette.
Doc G, what is up, sir? How was your Labor Day?
Oh, well, I was about to ask you, but I got my party on.
Yeah?
I got my party on. Raged.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. How about you?
I went for a really, really long walk. That was pretty much it. Went to the mall and went for a long walk.
Hey! I went to the mall.
You went to the mall?
That was my raging.
Nice.
That was my getting crazy with it. I was going to ask you if you went to the mall. Oh, my God.
It's always a party at the mall.
My gosh. Wow. But before we get to the mall, Mike.
Okay.
How was that walk?
That was a great walk, man. We got this walk dialed in, and it's like
Was
just
that
a
where
perfect, almost 3.
Was that where you sent me the pictures of before in the past, as far as like the running, where you'd done the runs before? Like that trail?
That was a different spot. There's some bees at that spot. We haven't gone back. We had a bad experience. A bee bit my wife's leg while we were running in motion. I didn't think bees could get you while you were running.
Yellow jacket, I bet? I bet it was a yellow jacket.
I don't even know, man. She swiped it away. We have no idea, but you can hear these bees or whatever they are.
I was about to say, they might not be. It might have been some type of variation of horsefly. Those effers will attack. They will attack while you're moving. They are turds and they hurt. And they will, their bites will swell up. But regardless, Mike, let's not focus on the negative. Nope. Let's accentuate the positive.
Yeah. It's a good trail, the other one.
Mall hopping. Let's talk about mall hopping.
Yeah.
I went and grabbed a couple things at the mall.
Oh, yeah.
And it'd been a while since I'd been to one of those things, you know? It's a little discombobulating when you hadn't been there in a while, you know? You're like,
yeah, it is.
Well, and I gotta say, I don't know about your mall, Mike, but my mall, there were still teenagers there.
Oh yeah, tons of them.
I didn't know that was a thing still. I thought they had just like given up on it, you know? But I'm so glad to see teens are still doing nothing, you know?
Yeah.
Doing nothing, accomplishing nothing. Ogling goods they don't have the money to actually pay for, and making old people like me feel uncomfortable. That's nice. Them just walking around laughing and me being like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, they're coming around me. Oh, God, I don't know. What should they be wearing that? That is too short. You know, just like, that's me. You know, the way it should be. But, now, I got an important question about the mall, Mike. When I went to the mall, and when I went to the mall this time, and in the past, I went through a department store. Do you go through department stores to go into the mall, or are you one of those people that goes to the direct entrance, like one of the ones that goes right into the mall?
Just wherever there's the least amount of parking, which is usually through a department store. Yeah.
I like to go through the department store because it's like a warm up for the main event.
Ooh, good.
You know?
Point. Yeah.
Just walking past like the purse section in Macy's and looking at the cashier like you don't even know what's about to go down in there. It's going to be some craziness when we get out there. Shenanigans, you know? Just. That's the way it's always been since I was a young tyke. You got to go through, and I guess my mom sort of got that ingrained in me. She never went into, and then every now and then I'd have a friend that would go right into the mall, like one of those main entrances. I'm like, oh my, what the? We just went into this craziness just out of nowhere, guys. There was no warm-up.
It is a 0 to 100 type of situation.
Especially
when you go straight into the entrance.
Oh, like the food court? Oh, man.
That's usually where it is, right?
Oh,
that's usually the food. You just walk straight into the food court.
Oh, gosh. It's just going. And the sights, the sounds, the smells, you can't handle it all.
Yeah.
You can't. Well, of course, this past weekend, like I said, I went in traditionally, went into the department store. I went through Macy's.
Okay.
And as I was going through Macy's...
Dillard's.
Oh, nice. Dillard's. That's classy. That's classy. Dillard's, they've usually got a big polo section. It's all like wood grained out. You're like...
Yeah. That was nice.
I can't afford anything in here.
Nope.
Now, as I went through Macy's, Mike, I went through the fragrance/beauty section.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Two things on this party section, Mike. First, I don't know why this always happens. Well, I sort of have a hypothesis. But when I go through this section, I always get excited to smell the amalgamation of scents together, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's just like 35 perfumes and colognes. You're like, oh, that's nice. But inevitably, almost every single time I go through, I think somebody has left a disgusting fart bomb in that area.
Girl, come on.
Like they think they're safe because there's so many good smells. They're like, well, obviously I can fart here. Nobody's going to notice. And so then I go through there and I'm just, oh, God, you sick freaks. Who did that? Come on, right? It's rough. But the second thing I thought about in this area of the mall, Mike, is going through, and you probably noticed this. I think they have these in Dillard's as well. Everybody in that section had like lab coats on, you know?
Yeah.
They have like the white coats on. And I think some of them even had like gloves on, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like that's not the message you want to send, you know?
Yeah.
Like, listen, you're so ugly. We've got a whole team of dedicated scientists working around the clock to make you pretty. We're going to be working on you for the next 5 hours. I hope you can breathe through farts because it's going to be rough.
I never thought about it that way.
I was like, you know, you should have somebody who's like, oh, it's like a little touch up. There you go. We got you. Like, no, they're serious. They got it, you know? But anyways, I went through the department store, Mike, and I went to the food court. And I was thinking, Mike, I think we need to do this next week. I don't know how you feel about this. Top 3 favorite food court options.
Ooh, good one. I had a food one in mind, but yeah, food court options.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah, because I had some favorites. I think I already have my 3 in my head that I want on my list. It was a go-to. And this mall that I went to, Mike, it had one of my classics. You want to take a stab? What do you think? What do you think's on my list?
I'm gonna go. Like, I want to say Chinese food, but I can't. I think
that is one
Panda
of them.
Express?
But it's not one that was in this mall.
Okay.
This mall had one of the classics, and I don't know if it. I think you have to be an old fart for this to be a classic. But Chick-fil-A, Mike.
Chick-fil-A. Okay.
Chick-fil-A.
Say what?
For the longest time, Mike, that's all I ever thought of Chick-fil-A. Mall classic. I never thought of Chick-fil-A being outside of the mall.
That's right.
And I didn't realize, I bet you didn't know this. The first Chick-fil-A ever, Mike, opened in a mall.
Really?
Yeah.
An indoor mall?
Yeah. 1967, Greenbrier Mall in Atlanta.
Wow, didn't know that.
They didn't open a standalone Chick-fil-A until almost 20 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
1986 was the first standalone Chick-fil-A.
So true.
I was already born by the time a standalone Chick-fil-A came out, Mike. Unbelievable. Anyways, I walked by the Chick-fil-A. And while I was walking by the Chick-fil-A, people waiting in line at the Chick-fil-A, I heard an older guy say, classic line. I heard him talking to the person beside him. He's like, yeah, but only the good die young. Which I thought was ironic. I was like, you're old. That inherently means you suck. You're not good is what you're saying. But he said it without any ironic nature whatsoever. I was just like, all right, I guess you've already come to the conclusion that you're not good. Okay. All right. The point is of the story, Mike, I didn't really do anything for Labor Day.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to the mall. I dilly-dallied. I did get the things I needed at that mall, and that's about it. That's
I think that's
it.
a big deal.
Okay.
Going to the mall. There's a lot. Lot going on.
Trust me, it is
a full adventure.
It is too much for the sights and senses.
Yeah, it is.
There is too much. And like I said, those teenagers. My God, those teenagers, Mike.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They are bananas.
But it is great. It is great to see them. Though. Yeah, you would think like they're all at home on their phones.
No.
They're out. They're doing the things that we did.
They're out there staring at each other, being awkward, trying to impress the ladies, and you want to jump in and go, they're not impressed. That was stupid.
They're not impressed.
So true.
Still stupid. Work on it.
Yeah.
Work on it. Anyways, Mike. I've been waiting to fire this show up because I didn't do anything on Labor Day. Are you ready to fire this show up?
Let's fire up the show, Doc G.
All 3 engines up and burning. 2, 1. 0 and lift off.
Woo! My goodness. Listeners, we have a fantastic show. We have the one, the only, Gavin Rossdale.
Legend.
Gavin Rossdale, the amazing singer of A Bush.
That's right.
We talk all kinds of stuff in this interview. What he eats on tour, recording his first album, recording his second album, artificial intelligence, new music he's working on. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But before we get to all the fantasticness, Mike, we need to start where we start.
Birthday suit.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Yeah, like 99.9% on this one.
All right, cool.
Very solid one. Born on September 4th, 1981 in Houston, Texas. She was always interested in singing from a young age, performing in competitions. She joined Destiny's Child in the late 90s, which had songs like Bills, 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 Bills. I think I might have added one too many bills in there. Bootylicious and Survivor. Our birthday suit wearer went solo and released Dangerously in Love in 2003. Over the past 20 years, she's had singles like Crazy in Love, Check on It, Single Ladies, Texas Hold'em, and many more. She has sold over 200 million records worldwide, and she has 32. That's right, I said 32 Grammys.
Jeez.
She was called the greatest living entertainer by Rolling Stone last year. I'm gonna leave that there, considering Paul McCartney is still alive and yeah, they said that. Side note, she's married to this fellow we all know, Jay-Z. Name that birthday suit wearer.
Beyonce.
That is correct. Queen Bee Beyonce turning 42, Mike. 42. Yes. Wow. Looks pretty phenomenal for 42.
Oh, yeah, she does.
Looks pretty phenomenal. Also, just always seems like a lady you never want to make mad. Just something of like, she's got that business. Like, she seems like she can have fun, and it seems like she'd be a great hang. But if you did something on that hang to off, that'd be the end of you.
It's like there's a red button that she can just push.
Yeah, exactly. And not just because of her power, because obviously she has more power than any of us. Yeah. But also just because it looks like she does not tolerate turdiness,
No way.
And if you're a turd, she will eliminate you,
For sure.
And also, Mike, fun fact about Beyonce. Bet you didn't know this. She's actually a beekeeper.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
She has 80,000 bees.
Nice.
And she did that. I think she started doing that before she was actually called the Queen Bee. And it was not for that name. The reason she did it was because one of her daughters or kids, I'm not sure if it's daughter or not, but one of her kids has allergies, and they wanted to make their own honey because of these allergies. So they got bees.
Cool.
80,000 bees.
That'd be fun. I think beekeeping looks really interesting.
If I've got a couple $1 billion like her, I could probably find something more entertaining. But,
For sure.
It's still nice. Why not?
There's a couple of famous people that do beekeeping.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot,
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Like
you get to lord over those bees. Why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Watch them do their little bee dances.
Yeah, jive around in their hive. Then you get to take out that great hive and just eat it straight from the cone and be like,
oh, that's awesome. I've always wanted to do that.
Be like, oh, you wish you still had this, but I'm taking it from you, bees. Taking it from you right now. Oh, come on. Anyways, Mike, happy birthday to Beyonce. Are you ready to rip some headlines?
Let's rip some headlines, Doc G.
It's now time for Rip from the Headlines.
Mike, I've got a headline from the Washington Post. Quote, co-workers left him behind on a mountaintop. He got stuck overnight. End quote.
Huh?
So apparently, Mike, a group of 15 office members who worked together went on a team-building hike at a national forest in Colorado. While they were on this hike, apparently 14 of the employees just decided to leave one of the guys on the mountain.
Word.
The search and rescue team said, quote, the situation might cause some awkward encounters in the office in the coming days and weeks. That's all? Like, it might cause some awkward encounters? They were like, well, they did leave this dude for dead on top of a mountain. But he's still alive, so.
That's a fact.
We're going to stop here, right? When you investigate a little bit. Second, how did this even go down, Mike? Like, how does this happen? Like, what happened? The guy was like, hey, can everybody hold on? I'm getting tired. And they all just looked at him and were like, nah. And just kept walking, and he was like, what can I do? Like, it's not like they tied him up to a tree or anything, you know? Like, I don't know how they physically left him, all of them, and he just couldn't keep up with them. Like, it seems impossible. I don't know, Mike. But,
I don't know.
Regardless, that's a good indication to get another job if you're that dude.
Yeah.
They hate
Not a
you.
good team.
They hate you. So
sorry, bro.
Yeah, find another one. One. Mike, I've got an interesting headline from The Atlantic. Quote, DNA tests are uncovering the true prevalence of incest.
Ew.
Ooh. Not good.
You know what also does a pretty good highlighting incest, Mike? Last names and parents.
Yeah.
Now, I will say in this article, they paint the picture like there's all kinds of folks who don't know their biological parents, which there's a pretty good amount out there. But then they end up hooking up with their biological siblings, and they don't know.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, Mike, I don't buy it.
You don't think so?
Yeah, like if I don't know my biological parents, and I start going out with a lady, and she says, hey, you know what? I don't know my biological parents either. Automatically, a red flag has started going up for me. I'm like, one of us has to get to the bottom of this. Like, one of us needs to check, you know? Like, like they're sitting there, they're like, hey, isn't it weird we both have similar eyes? Yeah, it is. And similar mannerisms? Yeah. And your wiener looks exactly the same as mine? Yeah, that is weird. Like, I'm just picking up similarities. You'd think they would look into it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But seriously, you know, aren't you a little curious? Like, get out of here. Before you did a DNA test, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what do you guess? We're brother and sister. Like, I don't know. I feel like at that point, you're just like apparently happy that somebody's talking to you. So you're like, okay. It could be my sister, but what are you going to do? You know, like...
what are you going to do?
Yes, I guess have inbred kids. Let's give it a shot. Mike, we had a little chat about Scott Peterson.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. Yeah, there's been a couple of documentaries, apparently.
Yeah,
there's a Peacock documentary, and there was a Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
And here's a headline from People magazine we got. Quote, Scott Peterson breaks his silence. I was an a-hole to Lacey, but I didn't kill my wife. End quote. And apparently, Mike, this is the first time in 20 years that he's publicly spoken out about the murders. And I got to be honest, I think that's a tough sell. You know? I mean, like, I freak out if someone doesn't believe that I won a game of putt-putt. Like, this dude was accused of murder, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to lay low for 20 years, and then I'll start my campaign to say I'm innocent. Like, that doesn't... Like, people confess that they committed murders on their deathbeds. They don't profess their innocence. Like, oh, hey, by the way, before I die, you know that murder that everybody thought I did? I'm innocent. All right, I'll see you later. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, you want to get that out as fast as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it seems a little weird that you just literally wouldn't say anything for 20 years and then be like, oh, you know what? No, I didn't do that. Like, that's doesn't make
maybe
any
jail's great. I don't know. Maybe he loves it.
He didn't realize.
Leave this
He
place.
was like, I don't need to say it. And then after 20 years, he's like, I'm a little bored. I guess maybe I would like to get out of here. Yeah. Mike, this headline is from Fortune, and it irked me a bit. Here's the headline. Quote, if you inherit $1 million or any amount, this is the first thing you should do, says financial planner, end quote. If the advice is for any amount of money, why did you start the headline with, if you inherit $1 million? Is this clickbait specifically for people that have inherited $1 million? Like, oh, what? That's me. I guess I better click on that. Like, that's like saying, hey, do you like the movie Mrs. Doubtfire? Okay, how about any movies? Like, this isn't like, come on. Hey, do you watch football? Or any sport? Like, why didn't you just start with that? Like, just...
Well, I didn't get $1 million, but I did get $25.
Oh, okay, that works for you. Come on in,
probably
then.
read this.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
don't tell anybody.
I don't want the press here. It's 20.
I don't want to tell anybody I got this $25.
They'll be knocking on my door nonstop. Mike, I've got Giselle news.
Uh-oh.
And, of course, that means indirectly I've got some Tom Brady news.
Yes, of course.
Now, Giselle and her jiu-jitsu lover, Joaquin. Remember when they were getting the divorce, by the way, Mike? And they were like, what? No, we're just doing jiu-jitsu together. We're not boyfriend. Yeah, man, did that fall apart? Now they're just just straight up boyfriend and girlfriend. You're like, wow, what a bunch of lying turd bags you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyways, that has nothing. They had their reasons. Anyways,
yeah,
they were hanging out in Miami this past weekend, Mike, and they were cruising the intercoastal waters, and they actually went directly behind Tom's house.
Not good.
You want to know what they were doing?
What?
Riding water bikes.
So lame.
Looking like a bunch of goobs, Mike. I'm going to be honest. If I was Tom and I look out and I see that nonsense going behind my house, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not jealous.
No way.
Better him.
Throw a football at both of them.
Better him than me. I'm good. I don't do whatever you do. Like water bikes? Oh.
So lame.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Before I got ready to tell you this story, I was thinking I was gonna make a joke about how taking a bike and putting it on water is like taking a surfboard and putting it on land. And then I was like, oh wait, that's a skateboard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's normal. I don't care. Water bikes are still stupid. That's dumb, man. It's not the same at all.
Nah.
Anyways,
Too slow.
Get your stuff together, Giselle. Stop water biking behind his house. Mike, I've got a super important headline from GQ. Here it is. Quote, the real life diet of Steve Aoki, who has 5 cold plunge tubs at his house. End quote.
Okay.
That's right,
My
Mike.
neighbor, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's like right down the street from me.
Well, you got to check out his 5 cold plunges.
Yeah, he's probably melting. Freaking 115 degrees around here.
But I mean, first of all, Mike, it's good that it's his real life diet. right? As opposed to the alternate universe diet. So that's good.
For sure.
Second
He's
off,
eating CDs.
second of all, I gotta say, 5 cold plunges seems like a smidge too much. You know?
Yeah. Maybe 4 too much. Maybe 3 too much.
I would say 4. I think you could go 4. He said he has 5, Mike, because he likes to bring people into the cold plunging world together.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I guess that means when he's bringing people in, you can't rotate out of the same cold plunge. You have to stare longingly into each other's eyes in a circle of cold plunges, just like, you guys getting this? Are we all together? Like you're recreating Titanic as you freeze to death. Anyways, Mike, here's another one from Vogue. Vogue, quote, Harry Styles is in his early 30s normal guy era, and he's never looked better, end quote.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
He's on his prime.
Exactly. And I was like, Mike, what a coincidence. Vogue just released their article on me, and it's Doc G in his late 30s normal guy era, and he's definitely looked better. It's close. Close.
Let's be honest, Doc G, early to late 30s.
No, I'm late. I'm very late. But I also, with Harry, I was like, come on, Vogue, stop lying. He's never looked better. You're telling me when he hops up on stage in a jumpsuit looking like David Bowie, taking the saying, dance like no one's watching more literally than anyone's ever taken that saying, you're telling me he doesn't look better at that time? Get out of here. He looks way better when he's doing that. But, you know, he looks good in sweatpants, too. So,
Yeah.
you know. But that's all he's got. He's basically like sweatpants and T-shirts right now.
Oh,
You
okay.
know? Yeah, he's just lounging. So, so good for him, you know?
Yeah.
Especially good for him that they still think he looks good. That's always nice.
Yeah, of course.
Got a real quick one from The Athletic, Mike. Quote, Stephen Curry sees a window of opportunity for Warriors. It's still all about winning.
Word.
End quote. Mike, you know what it's also about? $62.6 million for a year.
True.
That's real nice.
Yeah, it is.
Don't get me wrong. I think Steph wants to win. But when you're presented with $62.6 million, it's amazing what you can convince yourself of. Guys, we signed DeAnthony Melton over the summer. We're going to win the championship. Don't worry. I'm very excited. Like, come, get real. You're not winning anything, Steph. You're going to be amazing. But with that team, no. But it's all right. Mike, I've got an interesting headline from Us Weekly. Quote, why Jennifer Lopez ended her 2-year marriage to Ben Affleck. Insider insights.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, before I read this article, Mike, I guessed because they didn't like each other. That was the main thing.
Yeah, probably the big reason.
And I mean, I think that's what, like, 90% of the pictures and videos I saw of them together showed. So,
Yeah.
I would guess. And you know what, Mike? The article basically said that. So, so in summary, they didn't like each other.
Yeah.
But
That'll do it.
if you want to buy their $68 million house, it's still for sale.
Sweet.
So get out there, listeners. Get it done. Mike, here's a headline from Huffington Post. Quote, noticing this while driving could be an early sign of dementia. Mike, first of all, before you ask, I didn't look at what the actual sign was because
I don't wanna know.
I no doubt have it. Yeah. And I don't need to know. Let's make it a surprise.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be completely in the dark when it comes to my dementia.
Slip right into it.
Exactly.
Just a little gradual decline.
Second of all, I was like, it's dementia. Shouldn't it be what you're not noticing while driving?
Good point.
Like, shouldn't the headline be like, not noticing you're driving a car could be an early sign of dementia? Hey, Ben, did you know you're driving? What? Oh, God, I thought we were in the house still. Oh, Jesus. That's more dementia, But anyways, Mike, it's that time of week. It's time for Weekly Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Mike, you know Robert Parrish?
No. I do. I know Robert Parrish. Yeah. He's a basketball player.
Yeah. He played
basketball player.
He played for Boston, the Boston Celtics, all through the 80s. Yep. He was part of their big three. It was him. It was Kevin McHale. It was Bird. That was their big three, right?
Yep.
Robert Parrish also won a NBA championship with Michael Jordan.
Oh.
Yeah, he was on I want to say it was the 95-96 Bulls. It was when he came back, but I can't remember which year, but I'm pretty positive it was 95-96 Bulls. He played every now and then. He jumped in. I think it was average 9 minutes that season. Regardless, here's why I bring up Robert Parrish. Robert Parrish said in an interview, Michael Jordan isn't the greatest of all time because he didn't beat great teams.
Word.
I say this with all due respect, Mike. Mr. Parrish, what the are you talking about? He beat all the teams he played in the finals.
Yeah.
Meaning he beat the best team from every NBA year he went to the championship.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want him to do? Jump in a time machine and beat some quote-unquote great teams? Yeah. He can't. He played everybody. And who's to say the teams that he beat would not be considered great teams if he hadn't beat them?
That's true. That's a good point.
The 1997 Jazz team won 64 games. That's more wins than any of the last 8 NBA championship teams.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Of course you would know that, Dr.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, yeah, they were great teams, but guess who was better? Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Get out of here, Robert Parrish. This is ridiculous. These people, Mike, they don't come with the details. They go off of feeling. And I don't do that. I bring the receipts.
Numbers,
Mike.
Yeah. You have numbers. That's why it's awesome to listen to you talk about this stuff, is because you have the stats.
I'm gonna start a podcast, and listeners are like, "Please do this." I'm gonna start a podcast that is just Michael Jordan podcast. That's it. That's it. And listeners are like, "Please do that," so you stop bringing it up in this podcast because you already talk about enough off the wall. This is just one more thing that we're like, what? We're back to basketball again? What?
They appreciate it.
Thank you, listeners.
They know what they're getting into.
Exactly.
Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Leonardo DiCaprio. That's what we do.
Amen. Don't forget, we'll throw in a Paul Rudd every now and then.
Of course.
Maybe a Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, definitely.
Anyway, maybe a Glenn Powell. Just
maybe.
We like to throw in anyone who is very attractive or very talented. That's who we like. Yep. But, Mike, we're going to take a break and hear from another very attractive, very talented person. This is Gavin Rossdale and Bush with Glycerine right here on the Doc G Show. And we are back here on the Doc G Show. Spinnaker Radio, WSKRLP 95.5 FM in Jacksonville, Florida. Mike, what do listeners need to do?
Well, Doc G, if the listeners feel like our show is a positive way to waste their time, they should please subscribe to the show wherever they consume their podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on YouTube, killing it. SoundCloud. It's a cost-effective way to support the show. And if the listeners are feeling extra generous, they should leave us a 5-star review.
Amen. Mike, yeah. 1 5-star review last week.
Woo! Let's go.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about, listeners.
Thank you.
If you want to see me get as excited as I got excited for mall trips give me a 5-star review. I'll get that excited.
Day maker.
I'll get that excited, and I'll get as excited as getting to go to all my top 3 places in the food court. Gosh, Mike. That's a sign of how unhealthy of a kid I was like the favorite thing going to the mall was like, oh my God, the fat treats I am going to get at the food court.
Yeah.
You don't even know. Man.
Deliciousness.
There were so many good
Samples.
spots. There was the Charlie's cheesesteak spot. Mm-hmm. There for a while, Mike, in the old school, my go-to was the Sbarro's.
Oh yeah, they had the whole display.
Yeah.
And they have all the pizza.
Yeah, and
This
like
is where it starts.
When you weren't a New Yorker like either of us, obviously, man, that was just like you felt like you were in New York, even though it's obviously the worst pizza ever, and New Yorkers would pee on the top of it. But like, I still eat it, man. I still love it because guess what, listeners? I don't have any discerning taste when it comes to pizza. I will eat anything.
Yeah,
I may regret it the next day, but I will eat it and love it while I'm eating it.
Yeah.
Okay? Anywho, I got really sidetracked. The point was, listeners, 5-star ratings. We need more of them.
We do.
Pile them on to us. If you get time, come up with another Apple ID so you can give us another one.
Oh yeah,
You know?
good idea.
I'd appreciate that so much, you know? Just do it for us. Just
why
be a
not?
pal.
Throwaway
Anyways,
account.
exactly, your burner Apple account.
and you need those.
The burner
Anyways.
account is where you can listen to all the dumbest music that you're afraid to have on your actual Apple Music. You can watch all the semi-porn on Apple TV that you don't want to have on your regular account. That's what it can be for. And it can be for the .G show, too. Yeah. Anyways, we need to thank the 5-star listeners, Mike.
We do.
Here we go. Shout out to Frankfurt, Germany, Anoka, Minnesota, Ashburn, Virginia, Purikai, Brazil, San Diego, California, Dublin, Ireland, Portland, Oregon, Genoa, Italy, Richards, Texas, Barcelona, Spain, Winfield, West Virginia, Biloxi, Mississippi, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Peoria, Illinois, Katy, Texas, Toms River, New Jersey, Olive Branch, Mississippi, Asheville, North Carolina, Los Angeles, California, Spartanburg, South Carolina, Athens, Georgia, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Chicago, Illinois, Boynton, Virginia, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Columbus, Ohio, Jacksonville, Florida, Columbia, South Carolina, Radford, Virginia, Gainesville, Florida. I got to Columbia and I wanted to call it Columbus. I already had a Columbus. But thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
The regular listeners, we appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you. Seeing your names up there gets us going.
Yeah, it does.
It gets us going. Mike, 4-star listeners. Here we go.
What do we got?
Auburn, Alabama. That's a weird start, right? That's one you wouldn't think on there, but I appreciate it. Atlanta, Georgia. Falkenstein, Germany.
Word.
Falkenstein. Never heard of Falkenstein, but shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Mountain View, California. Definitely heard of Mountain View. Thank you, guys. Madison, Wisconsin. Shout out to you guys. My brother's boss took their kid on a college tour to Madison, Wisconsin there.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
That's what it spurred in my head there. Side note. Prineville, Oregon. Mike, Prineville, Oregon. Darmstadt, Germany. Cleckheaton, United Kingdom. Cleckheaton, I think. That sounds very British.
Yeah.
Grand Rapids, Michigan. Jaipur, India. Calgary, Canada. There we go. Shout out
Cool.
to all the listeners, Mike. We appreciate it.
We do.
We thank you. And whether it's whatever platform you come to us on, tell a friend. Get them out there, you know? The more you drag along, the more we can continue doing this. And I told Mike before we came on the show, I have spotted a $75 million mansion on the coast of California that I would like to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
And so to purchase that, I need you guys to listen to this show more.
Just a few more.
Slightly.
A few more listens.
Exactly. Slightly. And by slightly, I mean we need to get into like the billions of listens. So, you know, if you could just keep on your house this playing in the background on a couple of, a couple of computers, a couple of devices. Really helpful for us. We'd really appreciate it, Anyways, Mike, we need to take a break. We are going to be right back with the fantastic, the amazing Gavin Rossdale right here on the Doc G Show.
The Doc G Show, because sometimes you need something playing in the background. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on 99.5 FM, Spinnaker.
This is 95.5 Spinnaker Radio. WSKR LP-FM, UNF Jacksonville.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. We are very excited to be welcoming a legend in music. He is the lead singer of Bush, and they are on their Loaded Greatest Hits tour and will be performing at Daly's Place here in Jacksonville, August 29th. Mr. Gavin Rossdale. Gavin, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm looking forward to coming down there, and it feels very summertime, so I'm happy about that.
It's the best. Are you a summer fan, I'm guessing?
I'm an extreme fan, so I like it really hot, or I like skiing, or I like, you know what I mean?
No in-betweens.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I really hate? When people say, like someone wrote me the other day, he goes, I'm in the Maldives. I'm in my happy place. And I was thinking, well, damn, whose happy place is not the fucking Maldives? It's so stupid. But I do love the summertime. These tours are fantastic, and this lineup's great. Being on tour with Jerry it's just it's an honor. I got so much inspiration from Alice in Chains back in the day when I was even starting Bush, and like, how do you do rock music without sort of like backcombing your hair? Can you do it? Where have all the punk gone? And so that was a cool band to come across. So being on tour with them, we toured with them a couple of years ago, and then now for Jerry to be touring with us, that's great. Candlebox are excellent. People just love that band. My son loves that band, and great songs, and Tim Montana's been great. I hope Tim is still there with you guys.
No, it'll switch over to Bones by the time you get here.
Okay, well, Bones, they're good friends of ours. We've toured with them a bunch of times, and they're just such a cool freaking band.
Oh yeah,
super, ultra cool. So I'm happy because I want people to have a great evening, great experience. People do many different things, and we appreciate that, and we're having a blast.
Nice. Yeah, Jerry is, man, such a good guitarist. I was wondering, I've seen you guys, you've already, you've posted a couple of videos of you guys playing together, him coming out and playing a song with you. Is that like an every show type of thing, or is that wait and see?
He's sort of basically, I think it's based on whether they have like mad drives afterwards. If they drive like 16 hours, they're heading out of there because they don't want to get there so late the next day.
Yeah.
And then when the shorter drives, he's up for it. He wants to party. He's ready. He's always down to come on stage and do that thing. And it's to be honest, I don't think I've done it enough. Being collaborative and having people come out on stage, because it's such a thrill for people when somebody comes out and just does a song, because it steps away from the norm, steps away from the records, and shows real good musicality and inspiration. And we have a lot of fun.
Does he, when he comes out, is it pure guitar, or does he do some harmonies with you? Does he sing with you sometimes?
Oh, he sings as well.
Man. That's my favorite part. That's like, I feel like the most undersold thing about Jerry is his ability to harmonize like that in that made Alice in Chains, in my opinion. Those songs, if he wasn't on those harmonies, it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah, he loves that blend. You know, he loves that blend. So it's fun to let him sing his blend on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and like you said, so Bones is going to be here. I think they start August 16th with you guys. We had Rosie and Carmen on the show before, and they're just, I mean, Carmen she's such a guitar player. My God, she's so good. It's crazy.
She's really, really good. And there's a band. They're just cool. You know, they're just very cool, and we're excited to have them on the tour.
For sure. Well, now I was wondering, because when you're on tour, sometimes you have to sort of forgo things. Right before we started, you were talking about missing out on bacon. And I know you're a pretty fantastic chef. What do you do on tour? How do you get it? Like, what's the food scene on tour? What do you try to do as far as food?
I travel with eggs that I either boil and put in soy sauce and rice wine vinegar, and then like dip into a vat of 5 eggs and just like have that really good protein burst. Or I those fancy jars. I want to say fancy because they're fancy jars of tuna, and I just put rice wine vinegar with them and maybe chop up something in there, like any vegetable I have, just to get something fresh in there, cucumber or something. And then, or beans, you know, travel with beans. And then you get these like instant hits. Then I don't have to rely on like, you know, if catering is a little below par and a little congealed, then sometimes you don't really want to eat it. This is like food or avocados, you know, just those kind of, just eggs and avocados. You don't need much else. You're fine.
But it sounds like pretty rigorous though, as far as sort of like the health line. You don't dip into the bad foods that often on tour.
I eat super clean, but I've got like a hella sweet tooth, so I'm really good at the cookies if they've done. You know, I mean, I'm good at all that stuff. So I have to gotta balance it out. I mean, nobody wants. I'm not a preacher, you know.
Well, now I mean, I guess obviously, do you miss cooking when you're out on tour as much as you cook? Do you miss like getting in a kitchen?
In a certain way, but I'm so busy out here. We've been doing this thing daytime for the VIP. We do these packages, and I've been singing a couple of songs like that. And so it's basically been like doing a matinee every day. So the whole days. So I'm just in a constant state of shock that I can still sing. Everything is cool, and it's really like keeping on that and basically shutting up in between singing, keeping as quiet as I can. And you know, it just takes a lot. So no, I haven't thought about that too much. But I miss having a knife, and you know, it's nice to chop things up a little bit. But
therapeutic, yeah,
you know. But it's all good. Eggs win all the time.
It's funny. I literally, and this is not a lie, was just having that conversation this morning. Somebody was asking me about breakfast foods, and I was like, eggs are as good as you can get. Best source of protein. They've got all kinds of nutrients that other sources don't have. Fortotropin, phosphatidic acid, all of these great things. They're amazing. They are a superfood. I'm right there with you.
Advice. Oh, I need some advice from you. I didn't even know you had that in your back pocket. God dang.
It's they are impressive. I mean, it's my go-to source of protein.
What do you think about the tuna and the beans? You know, black beans, white beans, pinto beans, whatever.
Well,
not pinto, black. Are they good? Is that
good? 100%. You know, when you look at beans, extremely fiber, right? High in fiber, of course. A good amount of protein. They are a complementary protein instead of a complete protein like eggs, but they also have a lot of other good things. Interesting thing with white beans, they actually have a molecule in them that is a inhibitor of carbohydrate breakdown. So you actually absorb less other carbohydrates when you eat beans with those carbohydrates. So if you were to have like a plate of beans and like pasta, for instance, you'd get less of that pasta in as far as the absorption of glucose, which would be solid for people that are trying to restrict carbs, of course.
I feel like you're setting us free. Pasta fagioli.
Yeah.
The beans. I'm ready for that. That's incredible. Yeah. So when you say complementary proteins, that mean you need something else with it to make it work.
Exactly. And that.
What else? What can it be? Another protein or another carb? What does it need to be complemented by?
Protein. So it means when all proteins are made by amino acids. So you have 20 amino acids. And when you talk about a complete protein, they have all of those amino acids. But when you have a complementary, then they only have part of those, and you have to have another protein to get all 20 amino acids. And so the really neat thing about it is most of the time we've already set it up as humans that it's things that we think taste good together anyways. Like, for instance, when you talk about beans, rice is that other protein source that will actually give you that full amino acid profile.
Rice is protein. It's not carb.
Well, it has protein in it. Now, I mean, obviously, the majority of the calories come from carbohydrates in rice, but you still have some protein in there. Oh.
Okay, so white rice is not like negligible. It can do you sustainable things.
Oh yeah, you've got other benefits in there than just carbohydrate in there for sure.
Oh, great. Good to know. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, we're just learning so much. I mean, you seem to know an awful lot. It's incredible how we have access to this information now. And it's funny because I'm on this tour and people kind of keep eulogizing the 90s like it was this sacred decade, and it was sacred musically. But there's so many things that have really progressed and advanced that people just couldn't do without. And if you were to be like, oh, by the way, those 90s that you revere, would it be cool removing this degree of information from your life, this connectivity between people? Or you couldn't meet anyone anywhere. People are like, all those creature comforts that I'm so used to. I mean, the other thing I'm finding a hard time with is that Gemini overtaking the world, teaching kids how to write and how to think and how to process information. Like, hey, you've got 4 things to say. Hey, kids, here's a way to say thank you. Feed it into Gemini. Say, I'm so happy to be on the team. This is a great team. I respect my teammates. Write it for me. It seems somehow sort of dumbing down, whilst at the same time utilizing AI is a source to dumb us down. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy, but there was something disappointing about that. It's shouldn't it be sort of for advanced thinking, not for basic sort of emotional responses to things. Like, people should be able to construct thank you letters or to write an email to someone based on exactly what it is they want to say.
Yeah.
Why not feed the 3 main topics and have it weave into some sort of gibberish to make them sound smart? It's just, I felt that. For the first time I felt it was cynical. Before then I've been sort of not defending it, but like don't step in the way of progress. Now I'm just like, that's like dumbing down. They're definitely not saying that in China to their kids. They're not saying that to their kids.
You can check with Mike here on this. I am definitely in a lot of ways skeptical of AI in a lot of ways. And that's a big thing to me is, yes, just like you said, AI should help us in those things that are very difficult to do. When you look at something like chemical structures for pharmaceutical drugs, it can run through thousands and thousands of those in a second, where we can't do that, and it takes forever. So that's a definite huge benefit. But when you talk about things like Chat GPT and you just have, I'm just going to throw this in here and not think about it and write out an essay. Well, that's just making us lethargic. It's just making us horrible.
There was an article in the New Yorker where it's called the death of the college essay. That was always a really good sort of exponent of how galvanization of everything you've achieved or thought about to that point to an extent. Mm-hmm. I never went to college, so I'm not defending that role, but I found another way with words, and I think that in some ways it's always going to be safe for writers, simply because the human experience will never cease. And people will never stop, the writers will never stop commenting on it. Mm-hmm. And that's a perspective that just cannot be replaced. I mean, it just cannot be replaced, because the human experience will never be experienced by AI to the same capacity, the same nuance, to the same sort of twisted connections, and the human experience will go on. So to me, we'll always there'll be a voice somewhere of reality.
And I mean, to sort of go back to what you were talking about as far as people's nostalgia of the 90s, you know, that connection, I think that's one of the things that they love about it, is that they feel that authentic piece. They feel it more than they do to today's music, not to take anything away from a lot of today's music, but it's just easier to feel sort of that organic, especially in the 90s. There was this sort of emphasis on emotion. There was this emphasis on this raw human feeling in the songs. I mean, you get that on 16 Stone. Like that's what you feel.
Sure, thank you, and I appreciate that. But I do hope that you got it on the art of survival, and that's, you know, we used to have a lot of young people in the audience that weirdly know the band from the newer songs and get to understand the band in reverse. And then when they kind of get into it, they suddenly get loaded. God, this guy's been around, like, you know, longer than my parents. This is creepy. You know? This is weird.
Well, I mean, talking about like, to go back real quick, as far as, you know, what got you inspired to write that music, and what sort of you experienced as far as being that young artist. I always see, and this is something I want to ask you, as far as I always see the Pixies are brought up. You've brought up the Pixies as far as that inspiration, and I feel like the Pixies are one of those artists that's the artist, right? Like Radiohead loves them, U2 loves them, Kings of Leon loves them, Alice in Chains love them. When you looked at the Pixies, what made them inspirational to you? What did you love about the Pixies?
It was the same time as the authentic approach to rock music and to making guitars and the quiet, loud thing work, and just being amazing. I remember it was literally hearing Bone Machine and that Surf Rosa album and the artwork, you know, buying it at Rough Trade Records in Portobello, going home, seeing that artwork, you know, Vaughan Oliver over at 4AD, and just hearing this massive sound, which of course was Steve Albini, who I then later went on to work with and be friends with for a long time. And we just recently lost him a few months ago. I was with his wife, Heather, last night in Chicago. I did the show in Chicago, dedicated the entire show to Steve and to his legacy and to what he'd done for music. And it felt ridiculous to try and pick a song and sing a song about him. It was much more the gift of Steve, you know. I wanted to, if anybody enjoyed that show tonight, I want all the credit to give, you know, to be in terms of Steve and his legacy for people. Yeah. So yeah, it was really intense. Anyhow, so I just fell in love with that sound, and that sound was those crazy drums. I mean, I later did a record with Steve, and he made our drums sound the same way. I was like, oh my God, I was just losing my mind in the control room. You know, it just was such an exciting moment because I'd loved that record so much. It was such a full circle for me to be doing a record kind of on top of the world of my world at that time. Could work with anyone in rock music, and chose Steve and made a super raw, cool record. And I'm really proud of that record. I mean, it was a #1 record. They could never take that away from us. And Steve did an amazing job. It sounds incredible. Really caught the band. And it's very sad because I wanted to do a reflective rediscovery of maybe 10 songs and reimagine them in sort of a mellow environment and get Steve to record it like an Anesthetics record, you know, and get Steve to record it. And it's just a drag that he was, you know, just went away so soon and no one knew anything. And no warning, nothing. Obviously, as I'm sure you know, he wasn't a drinker, never did drugs, wasn't a smoker. It was like wasn't necessarily straight edge, but he was pretty straight edge.
Well, I mean, that was the Razor Blade Suitcase album that Steve produced, and that, I mean, that's coming off of 16 Stone. Did I don't know. I obviously wasn't there. Like, did you have how much like trepidation? How much were you worried about going in that album because of that first album just being so huge when you go into that second album?
Well, yeah. The thing is that what the sensible, smart move would have been to do the same record in reverse order with the same producers, you know. That would have been the move.
Yeah.
Now, if I look, I say, guys, just take it easy. It's how you climbed this mountain before. Take your time. Do the next one. And instead, we'd been on tour. We lacked songs. We'd been traveling. We hadn't stopped touring. And suddenly, we were thrust into doing record with Steve. And it was beautiful and impulsive and captured something about us. That was a testament to the previous 2 or 3 years, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was a contentious thing to do, obviously, because Nirvana had done In Utero. But I thought in a perverse way, oh, wow, what an amazing thing. Because if you both work with the same recording engineers, obviously, he would like to do so, the differences between the bands would be completely apparent.
Yeah.
Far more relief than with separate people. So I was like, oh, fuck it, it'll be fine in that regard. Then you're going to work. He'd done the PJ Harvey record, done the Surfer Rosa record, the Jesus Lizard, Slint. It just was Shellac, Big Black, Rape Man. It just was all too good. And it just felt like if you're going to play in the big leagues, you got to hit big. You know, you can't be careful.
Yeah.
You can't be careful. Being careful is the death of art, you know. So we sort of were pretty reckless, and it's funny because Jimmy Iovine said, you know, you really were. You insisted on Steve. You could have, and you know what? You were right. You were right. You did a great job. Nice. And that's Steve. That's Jimmy. I just units Iovine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he's the head of a major label. He liked the success, you know.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic. And we benefited from that. So that's how that went.
Well, I was gonna ask, as far as, I mean, that songwriting process, you always sort of stayed true to your own, like you said, you didn't just go and do the same album again. And on that first album, I've heard this, you talk about this before, Comedown being the actual first song you ever wrote, which is insane because it's such an amazing song. And I think about it, the analogy that I could come up with is a guy that golfs all the time on the driving range. And then one day somebody goes, hey, we're going to play a game. And the first hole, he hits a hole in one and goes, oh, was that good? Is that what we're supposed to do? Like, that was Comedown. Is that hole in one? Did you ever realize, did you ever go back and go, wow, I had a really, really good one on that first try. That was great.
Well, yeah, the thing is that the guy that I did the band with is a great guitar player. You know, he's a really good guitar player. So he was way better than me. Mm-hmm. So he just would say, just don't, you know, but all the time I was trying. I think it's when I broke up with that second band, and it was really to do with feeling like a fraud, like, because I was looking for guitar players, and I suddenly was like, I caught myself like an image of myself saying, you know, here I was, I'd given my life to music. I'm a singer. I want a guitar player. I'd only ever written with guitar players, you know. Mm-hmm. So I was like looking for someone. I thought, well, it's a little pathetic, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Bob Dylan songs are like 5 chords, you know? It's just like what the magic is in what you put on the top, because there are a limited number of notes, you know, the chords. It's like the magic is in the alchemy of what the melody and thing. that's what I told myself. So I sat down. When I did Comedown, it was like a voyage of discovery. Like, okay, well, if that, and all my songs since, have been a process of always learning stuff about it, because music has a sort of a magic, a mystery to me still. I'm not classically trained, so it's like it's always a bit like, look, not square peg in a round hole, but like I'm very raw. Like I modulate all the time in my songs. I modulate in a way that anyone who would be trained, it's be a headache. I change keys all the time. And I modulate because I just hear that.
Yeah.
And it's incorrect. It's musically incorrect. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
But that sets me apart. That gives me the flavor. Gives me a certain thing.
Would you say? Would you say your songwriting has changed over time? Like, have you changed the way that you approach songwriting?
Yeah, completely. Well, when I say completely, I just got more efficient. I mean, I always began with a beat, even when I wrote 16 songs. So if I didn't, I would the verse and the chorus would be different tempos, be out of time with each other. So I did it out of necessity, because I would often write songs and I think one bit was great, and then I'd put them together and one bit would suffer. You know what I mean? One bit would suffer. So I had to start learning how to use a drum machine and figure out how that was. I still have that drum machine, unless it's HR16 or SR16, HR16. And so now I just go in my studio and I can run that studio. I can make it sound really good, like what Steve Albini used to call a band of Nigels when he saved Imagine Nigel's solo project. I can do a band of me, because, with soft synths and with sounds, I can make it sound ridiculous. And I can engineer myself well enough to put entire songs down. I just don't record my vocals. So the way I do is I'm like a producer. I just set tracks for myself to sing to. And then when I get it good enough, I construct a song. Then I have an engineer that comes in and does far more layered and complicated engineering. Goes from the 6 tracks that I needed, suddenly it's like 24 track information, and I'm like in the dust going, what? Where's what? But that's how I like to work now. And also I like to work collaboratively. So Chris will give me some music or something, or the producer will give me music. Of this new record, I just recorded a new record. I think I wrote 8 songs, and I have 2 songs with Eric Ron. The music that we did together in the studio together, and just he'd do the music, and I'd be, a little bit of music together, a little bit of music on his own. And then we just put a song together in a day and just do it with him. That's pretty cool. So I have a whole new record ready to go, which feels great. I feel sated as a songwriter. I feel sated, but so the approach is always the same. Just try and something good on it so people care. Do you think it's something good? Yeah, I'll try.
Well, I mean, with that, like you said, it hasn't. It's always that idea. Would you say you've had over the years, with all of the number ones that you've had, throughout the career? Do you have a good sense of like, oh, people are going to really respond to this? Because I mean, there's a difference of course, you really liking a song versus it performing really well, as far as resounding through the population. Like, do you have a good sense of that?
I hope so. Yes, I really think that one of the best things I think about maturing and having been doing this for some time is my ability to edit and to know when things are good, because it's a waste of everyone's time if I try and push through a mediocre song or a mediocre lyric. It's just embarrassing, because they look at me in the band and be like, well, what? It has to be exciting. If it's not exciting, it doesn't make sense. So
exactly. Well, I mean, you just mentioned, so you've got this whole new album to go. Yeah. You're on the Loaded Greatest Hits tour. We're celebrating all of this great music. It's sort of nostalgic lane with those new songs. But do you have a date for the new album when you're thinking about it coming out?
It would make sense at the beginning of the new year, I think, is what it would look like. We finished the end of September. We've finished our stuff. Got a few things going on in October, November. Probably radio maybe in November, that kind of thing. I'm super excited about it. I can't wait for people to hear it. They see us this summer, then a couple of months off, and then boom, really cool record.
Do you have a song title for me off of those 7 that you have that's like your favorite, or at least the one that you really want people to hear?
Yeah, well, I think the whole record's going to be called, which is named after a song, "I Beat Loneliness," and so that's probably going to be the name of the album, but I don't know.
I'm writing it down.
There's a couple of other songs vying for the first song.
Nice. I'm always putting it away. It's like that little treasure that all of a sudden when the album comes out, I'm like, oh, I'm going right to it. Yeah, Gavin, I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's been fantastic. I'm so excited for the show. Thank you for coming on and talking with us today.
Thank you. And thanks for that insight, that information. It was super smart. It was great.
I try to be. Listeners, make sure you see Bush, Jerry Cantrell, Candlebox, and Bones August 29th at Daly's Place. Right now, let's take a listen to that first song, Comedown, right here on The Doc G Show. Back here on the Doc G Show. You just heard Gavin Rossdale. Fantastic, Mike. Woohoo!
Yeah, it was.
Fantastic.
Crazy.
We found out that he loved eggs. Yeah. Loved eggs, loved beans, and he was impressed by my egg bean knowledge.
Yeah. As was I. I mean, Doc G, it's always fascinating to hear.
Well, let's be honest. You've got the behind the curtain look. And you ask me questions like bean questions a pretty good amount of the time.
So true.
Yeah, like every single day.
Pretty solid amount of time. But my goodness, this tour, you get to see Jerry Cantrell, you get to see Gavin Rossdale, you get to see a real live rock concert, folks. And if you missed out on it, it's a little bit of a downer for you. You should feel depressed.
Mm-hmm. You should
feel depressed. But I want to thank Gavin for coming on the show. Definitely didn't have to do that, and that I'm very appreciative. Mike, we need to move on to the fastest growing segment in the world.
Mike C, top 3.
Now, Mike, I pushed on you the topic for next week of the top 3 best food court locations as far as in our opinion. Now, I would say we do that next week, but here's what I'm going to recommend for the week after that. Jerseys. The second top 3 of jerseys, because honestly, I had 3 in my head.
Yeah.
And I did those, but I didn't have time to really dig in. And I know there's some great ones that I did not choose.
You know what I regret? I almost regret not breaking it down into separate categories.
Yeah, different sports.
Like NHL, NFL.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe we could do it that way. Because there's so many good jerseys.
Okay. Which one do you want to do next week or the week after next?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we could probably go NBA jerseys. We'll start NBA.
Let's just do all NBA. Top 3 NBA jerseys. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good. Now I'll go ahead and ruin the surprise a little bit. 2 of mine are NBA jerseys on this list. So.
Okay.
But when it's all NBA, it may be a little bit different, you know.
Yeah, I only have one NBA jersey. Well,
I
actually, no. I have a.
I'm gonna guess it. I've got it in my head. We'll see if I'm right.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't have honorable mentions, and like I said, I could have had like 50 honorable mentions really if I wanted.
Yeah, me too.
There's a whole bunch, but we'll do it. I'll have my honorable mentions, especially for the NBA's coming up. We'll do that.
Yeah.
So I'll just get to my number 3, Mike.
All right.
And honestly, this could have been number 1, but it's more of the nostalgia. Like, to me, straight jersey-wise, I think this would be number 1. But the other 2 are just more, like, aesthetically pleasing to me. I just think this one is, like, if I was building a sports team, this is the jersey, like, I would want it. Oakland Raiders. The original Oakland Raiders.
Original Oakland Raiders. Let me pull
black
this up.
and silver with the pirate on the helmet. Like, nothing's more menacing than that black and silver.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, they were known as like the original bad boys. That's who they were. That's what they were known as. Like, it's just you can't get badder than a pirate with black and silver. So
true.
That's my number 3, Mike.
Yeah, it's a good jersey. It's a good logo. Good uniform.
Yeah. Now I would say the LA Raiders, because basically they kept everything the same.
Yeah.
But I think Oakland seemed badder, and they did have a badder team. Like, they were known to be like a dirtier, scarier team. So I gave it to Oakland instead of LA. And definitely not Las Vegas. I'm sorry. They lost the magic when they went to Las Vegas. It's not the same. You guys are gamblers, not Raiders. Like, come on.
It's true.
Anyways,
it's true.
Mike, what's your number 3?
My number 3, Chicago White Sox home jersey. Yeah, that's a nice one.
When I was a young buck, Mike, that was one because I want to say because of Crisscross. I think one of the Crisscross dudes had a White Sox jersey.
Crisscross?
Yeah. The guys that wore everything backwards, that had the song Jump. Crisscross will make you jump.
Okay.
Jump. The dab matter make you jump. Jump. Yeah. Very impressive.
Yeah.
Anywho, Mike, my number 2, the Miami Vice, Miami Heat jerseys.
Yep.
Love them. It just, like, to me, it's one of those, you know, when they do the city jerseys in the NBA, you got to match the feeling of the city. And most of them don't.
True.
You're like, this is stupid. What is that? That doesn't make any sense. And, like, I'll be honest, their most recent ones that they did, the Heat Culture ones, I'm like, that's stupid. No, that's not. The Miami Vice fit what everybody thinks of Miami. And it had that feeling, the dark feeling. There's a dark underculture that you're like, ooh, it's a little seedy. It's Miami. So the black fits that, but then you got the vibrant colors that you're like, yeah, everybody thinks, you know, Art Deco. They think pinks. They think purples. And you're just like, yeah. And I love them. They were dope. They were dope.
Beautiful jersey.
You know, and they just they
Definitely
don't sell them anymore. They don't wear them anymore. And I'm like, what the hell, guys?
They'll bring
Come
them
on.
back.
They
for
will
sure.
at
They'll
some
bring them
point
back.
in time.
It's
Yeah.
They made 3 variations of that same jersey.
Oh, yeah.
They knew it was hot. They knew it was
My
good.
brother has like 37 of them. Not a
Yeah,
joke.
that's awesome.
Like, he has so many of those jerseys. So many. All custom, Mike. All with his number and his name on them. Yeah.
So cool.
Anyways, Mike, you're number 2.
My number 2, the throwback teal Dolphins jersey, Miami Dolphins jersey.
Like it.
Very, very cool. I like that.
I will say again, you know, matching the city. Dolphins match most of Miami's feel. You know, you've got the teal, you got the white, you got the orange. Like, you got that feel. It's good. It's good, and it's a good look. Most of those light blue jerseys, it's a good look. Like the Charlotte old school jerseys.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Solid look. That's why they were so upset when they went to the stupid Bobcat. And they're like, go back to the Hornets. What is this?
Yeah.
Nonsense. Anyways, Mike, my number 1, Chicago alternate black pinstripes. Chicago Bulls.
That's a good one.
Chicago Bull, and it again, it's like I said, it's mainly nostalgic. I think, like, basketball-wise, that actually might have been my first jersey I actually got, was a Jordan jersey. Now, my mom was not going to spend money on the actual replica jersey with the real deal pinstripes.
Yeah.
So I got the cheap one that didn't have any pinstripes and was black.
The champion?
Yeah, but it's fine, you know? I was so jazzed about that.
Yeah,
I still
of
have
course.
that jersey. It's still in my closet. Like, what is that? Almost like 28 years later, man.
Yeah.
Still sitting there. But yeah, that jersey, it just like, because, you know, Jordan's so scary, man. He was so intense. And then you added black on there and you were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now they mean business, you know? And when in that 72 win season and they were wearing those black jerseys, you were like, oh. Like, and Rodman was there and you're like, oh, man. Yeah.
Black and red combo is always like a fierce.
It's the best, man.
Yeah,
it's the
it
best.
is.
That's
It
why
really is.
Jordan went with it, you know? That's why it was his color pattern for his team, or his brand, too. Anyways, Mike, your number one.
Wait, what was your guess?
My number one, my
what
guess
was your
for you
Yeah.
was the Orlando jerseys during the Shaq year with the black.
Well, it wasn't. It was actually the Miami Vice jersey as well.
Oh,
that was
man.
my number one. Yeah, Miami Vice. It was just a beautiful jersey. I mean, I just bought it. I just bought one.
It is. I remember
it's a
you
sick
wearing
jersey.
it.
I just need it. I need that in my collection, and yeah.
I'm so surprised you did not go with the Orlando jersey.
Well, on my it'll be well, it was. I had a similar jersey as a as like honorable mention, but it wasn't like that one. And I was also like, I mean, but what jersey really for me was like, oh, that is a sick jersey.
Yeah.
Unquestionably sick. That's got to be the Miami Vice. I think that it's biased to say that the Magic,
the Chicago alternates were extremely biased for me. It's not like the coolest jersey, but like in my head, it's the coolest because
that's true. I gotta go with that. Yeah,
but like with the Orlando black jerseys, like. Those, like, that was the thing, is I was always jealous of those, not being an Orlando fan. I was like, man, those are cool jerseys.
Yeah.
Those are awesome jerseys. And then that was the thing, is when the Bulls started wearing the black jerseys, like, that's basically a ripoff of the Orlando jerseys.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's cool. Bulls got it. That's awesome, you know? So, they were sweet, though. They were sweet.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, that is it. That is the jerseys for this week. Now, remember, write down your top 3 food court choices at the mall. That's next week. I'm going to have some honorable mentions on this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a good amount of honorable mentions. I'll go ahead and break this one for you guys. Taco Bell's not going to be in the top 3, but it will be an honorable mention. It will be, because I went to some malls that had Taco Bells, and that is a good choice. It is a great choice. But anyways, I've got a lot of them, and I'm very excited about this one.
Cool.
Mike, we need to move on to the last 2 birthday suits. I am like 53% on this first one.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm giving you more than a coin flip on this, Mike. Slightly more than a coin flip. I would give you more than that, but he's just got so many brothers. So, here we go. Born on September 4th, 1960 in New York City, our birthday suit wearer has 4 brothers that also went into the entertainment industry. Keenan, Marlon, Sean, and Dwayne. Our birthday suit wearer started doing stand-up in 1982. He was a featured player on Saturday Night Live for 1 season. In 1990, he launched his own show with his brothers on Fox called Living Color. Throughout the 90s, he played in several movies, including Celtic Pride, The Great White, Hype, Blank Man, and many others. He announced his retirement from stand-up in 2015. Name that birthday suit wearer.
Is it Damon Wayans?
Damon Wayans is correct. There we go. I was a little concerned, Mike. I was like, I feel like he'd key in on Wayans, but I don't know if he'd remember
you did a little elimination, yeah.
Well, even still, like, that's the thing, is like in my head, I'm like, although let's be honest, no offense, not too many people remember Dwayne Wayans. That's the... Sean.
Dwayne Wayans.
Dwayne, yeah. Keenan, Marlon, Sean. I think most people know those guys, especially Keenan and Sean. But
I feel like Damon Wayans, I want to say I opened for him after his retirement. He must have came out of retirement. Maybe not, though. Maybe. No, he must. I think he came out of retirement for stand-up. Maybe. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Damon Wayans came through the Orlando Improv. Maybe he was just doing like a one-off show or something.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he came out of retirement.
They always do.
That sometimes happens because they're like, oh wait, I can still make money on this. All right, let's get back in here. Why not? But you've always got the people that were your fans back in the day that want to see some more.
Yeah.
And I want to see some more. Hey, by the way, I was just, I still got all the pictures of Crisscross up here. Here they are wearing some Miami Dolphins jerseys backwards. So there you go. There you go.
Nice.
But it's not the retro ones. Not the retro ones. Anyways, Mike, this one's a little bit less, actually. Because this is a performer, but he had one really huge hit. But I feel like you'll think of the other person that he did this huge hit with and not him. So we'll see. I'm giving you 51% on this, Mike. Okay. No, I'm taking it back. 49%.
49%.
I'm right under a flip of a coin. Here we go. Born on September 4th, 1975 in Notting Hill, England. He started playing music at a young age. He got an internship at Rolling Stone magazine at the age of 12. He went to New York University. He started DJing when he was in college. His debut album came out in 2003. He started producing other artists around the same time. He scored big hits with Amy Winehouse. In 2004, he released his album Uptown Special with the single Uptown Funk with Bruno Mars. It spent 4 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It currently has over 5 billion streams on YouTube, and he won 2 Grammys from that single alone. Name that birthday suit wearer.
Okay, is the first name Mark?
It is. It is.
And then I might be wrong. Mark, is it Manson?
God, no.
Mark.
I'm gonna get. I mean, you're sort. It's the
Mark.
Same name syllables.
Yeah, I don't know. I know the first name's Mark.
Starts with an R.
Mark, yeah, I don't know.
This completely guy is about to say, starts with an R, rhymes with Johnson. Mark Ronson. Mark Ronson. I was
Mark
like,
Ronson.
I feel like I wouldn't be able to give credit if I said rhymes with Johnson,
Yeah.
starts with an R. Well, I have no idea. What could it be? But Mark Ronson. You were close. Mike.
That was the subtle art of not giving author, I think. Yeah. Anyways,
I'm gonna give you a quarter of a point for that.
all right, cool. I'll take it.
2.25 because you
Great
got
song with Amy Winehouse, by the way. Oh, fantastic.
He had a bunch of bangers in there, man. He's
Yeah.
worked with a ton of people. He's got a real interesting life too, because he came from this like super rich family in England, but then they did lose a good amount of money in the real estate crash of the 90s, but he was definitely still rich regardless. But then he came over to America, for college, and he just got into DJing and just
typical rich kid activities.
just made it into all these avenues because he was like, hey, by the way, I DJ. And they're like, all right. And he's like, oh, I may have some money, too. I don't know. I'm just saying. He could have said that, Mike. I don't know. I don't know the inside route. But regardless, he got the opportunity to work with all kinds of crazy people, and, it worked out for him. And now he's turning 49, Mike.
Nice.
49. One more year in the 40s. Mark, live it up. Live it up. You are in your late 40s era, and you've never looked better, okay? So live it up. Live it up. Anyways, Mike, we have to wrap it up for this week. It has been a fantastic show. We might meet at the mall later. I don't know.
Yeah, we might.
But next week we have a great show. We have the one, the only Carbon Leaf is going to be with us. Barry is coming on the show. Like I mentioned a while back, I haven't talked to Barry in 5 years. Hard to believe, but I hadn't talked to him in 5 years. We got to catch up. He's nice as ever. Carbon Leaf has a new album coming out, and it's fantastic. The new single is great. We dive in the details of the single. He talks about how he had a Farrah Fawcett a poster on his door.
It's a good poster.
The classic Farrah Fawcett, the one you're thinking of, Mike. The one in the red swimsuit that you're just like, my God. That is an attractive lady. So 1976, true. That's when the poster came out. We chat about it a little bit. It's a little bit late for him because the song is about 1983. So you think. But things moved a little bit slower back then, Mike. You get a poster in 76, it could hang around for like 10 years,
For sure.
Wouldn't be weird to see that poster in like 89,
Yeah. No way.
But then again, it wouldn't be weird to go on a college campus right now and find that poster at the poster sale, Because they do that. They just recycle all of the classic posters there.
For sure.
You see those same I don't know why I got on this poster talk. Regardless, it's a fantastic time with Barry. Can't wait to have him on the show. But we are going to wrap it up. I have been your host, Doc G. With me, as always, the one, the only, Mikey Maximus, the Vernicus, Charette.
Always a pleasure, Doc G. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And until next week, zip it up and zip it out.
Zippity-doo-dah.